Welcome to today's 1-hour webinar, free webinar supported by and hosted by Prevention Plus Wellness, LLC, located here in beautiful Jacksonville, Florida. Looking out my window, a gorgeous sunny day. I hope it's nice where you're at and that you're all safe and healthy. Thanks for joining us. This is a sold out, if you will, even though it's free, it's sold out webinar today, and everyone who's registered will get a certificate for 1 hour CEU. You're on the honor system, so please make sure you do view this webinar before you put your name on that 1 hour certificate. And I'll also send everyone a PDF of the slides from today's session, so please share them widely throughout your region and your state to get the good news out about this fascinating topic. I think you're going to love it. Now, for those of you that have been with us in the past, some of this will be familiar to you, so hang in there because there is new content here. So some will be review, some will be new. For those of you new to this, it'll all be great, I think. I hope at least you'll learn something from this or benefit in some way or another, or spark some creativity or thoughts in your mind about this essential topic of integrating wellness and substance use disorder prevention, multi-risk health behavior interventions. That's today's topic. It'll last an hour. I think probably take up most of the hour. I'm happy to open it up for Q&A afterwards. So if you have questions or comments as we go along, just type them in the live chat and I'll get to them at the end of today's session. I'll stay as long as you want to stay for Q&A. So everyone will get a certificate for today. If you've registered, all you have to do is type your name in it and print out a copy for your records. Everyone will get a copy of a PDF of today's slides. And I think that's just about it. So if you need anything else from me, you could reach me at our website, preventionpluswellness.com. My name is Dr. Chudley Wirch, and I'm president and founder at Prevention Plus Wellness, LLC. So let's jump right into it because we've got a lot to cover today. There's three primary objectives for today's session. The first is to be able to explain the need for and benefits of integrating wellness or health promotion into the prevention of substance use and other risk behaviors for youth, young adults, even for adults, but we're going to focus primarily on youth and young adults today. Secondly, to describe a marketing-related conceptual model, which is called the behavior image model. Some of you may be familiar with that if you've taken some of our previous webinars and trainings. So you're going to be introduced to the behavior image model, marketing model for creating integrated prevention plus or with wellness content, programs, and media campaigns. So ask yourself, what are you interested in today? Are you interested in media campaigns, programs, content? Do you want to produce this yourself? Or looking at objective number 3, we will also be exploring evidence-based resources for providing prevention with a wellness program. So existing evidence-based and evidence-informed prevention programs. So before we go any further, let me go ahead and share with you a poll, a very, very brief 3-question poll. Let me launch it for you. You're going to see it in just a moment on your screen. I think all 3 of these questions are multiple choice. You can answer as many as you want, whichever is relevant. So when you see these questions pop up in your screen, and you're going to need to scroll down to see all the questions and answers, go ahead and begin answering those. So you've got 3 questions. The first question, what health risk behaviors are you most interested in preventing among youth? It's multiple choice. You can answer more than one. Secondly, what wellness behaviors are most important to promote among youth? These are your opinions, so go ahead and answer that. And question number 3, which of the following options for integrating substance use prevention with wellness promotion are you most interested in learning about? So let's take a look at that. We're going to just give you a couple minutes to answer those questions. and give everyone an opportunity to answer and to participate, because I'm going to share the results with everyone. So the results will be reflective of whoever is online with us today. Remember, today is a sold out session. If you don't get in today's session, or you know somebody who didn't get in, or you know somebody who wants to participate in this session, we will likely have a second one. But we are recording this session, and I will send you a link to the recorded session. All right, so we're up to 6 and 10 online who have completed the 3-item poll. Let me just give you a couple more minutes. Give everybody a chance to complete it that wants to complete it. It's just 3 questions. Want to know how you feel about this, your opinions, your interests, so that we have a better understanding of your interests, and I could tailor the training a little bit today to your interests, and at least understand a little bit more about who's participating. So right now we're up to 73% have completed. Just give it just another minute or so to get it. So 3 out of 4 right now have completed the poll. And just another 30 seconds or so to see. We got 78% have completed, 80%. So we got 8 out of 10 have completed the poll, and even more than that. So fantastic. Thank you very much for participating. The people are still participating. So let me just wait another moment, because I don't want to cut anybody off. I want everybody to participate that has a chance to in this particular poll. And we're up to 84%, which is great. I think that's the highest we've ever had in participation rate in our polls in the past. So I'm glad you're all participating, have a chance to take a chance. So I'm going to shut it off right now. It's 85%. That's fantastic. So I'm going to end the polling, and I'm going to show the results with everyone. So here they are. Let's take a look at them together. So as a whole, for those of you online with us right now, the first question is, what health risk behaviors are you most interested in preventing among you? So you've got a range of behaviors there, and the winner is tobacco use. Oh, my apologies, I read it wrong. Marijuana use is a winner, but that's followed closely by alcohol use, e-cigarette use. Good number of you are also interested in mental health problems, opioid use, and so forth. So, and other illegal drugs, tobacco use as well. But the number one concern among you today, marijuana use, understandable with the movement toward legalization throughout the country. And the fact that we see research showing that perceived harmfulness is going down. That's always followed by, at least historically, by an inverted increase in use among youth that we're, as all prevention and health specialists, are very concerned about. But also, of course, alcohol, the most prevalent, the use of substance among youth, and vaping, e-cigarettes. So those are the top 3. Question number 2, we'll be addressing, by the way, all those. We'll be focusing on all those today, and you may want to have questions about those today after today's session. Number 2, what wellness behaviors are most important to promote among youth? And the number 1, I think by far, is controlling stress, controlling daily stress. So we'll keep that in mind, but that's followed not too far behind by a physical activity and reduce screen time. So getting young people engaged, active, reduce screen time. But again, that's followed by controlling stress. So controlling stress and increasing physical activity are the health promotion behaviors. And lastly, this is a little bit challenging question, I think, but let's give it a shot anyway. Which of the following options for integrating substance use prevention with wellness promotion are you most interested in learning about? So you've got 3 options, but then you've got an other, and there's some have responded to the other. And I'd love to know, for those of you that respond to other, what you were thinking of. You type in your answers, type in your responses in live chat. Let me know what you're thinking of here, what your needs are. But the number 1 answer to this is identifying existing evidence-based prevention plus wellness programs. So we will show you that at the very end of today's session, but we will also be discussing how you can create your own prevention program and your own prevention media campaigns. So we'll give you the tools to do either or both. You can both create your own messaging, prevention and health messaging. You can create your own program, create your own media campaigns, and we'll also introduce you, for those of you who don't know, about Prevention Plus Wellness programs. So for those of you that answered others, not a lot of you, about 6%, please type in, click on the live chat and type in what you're thinking there. What other options are you interested in for integrating substance use prevention with wellness promotion? I'd love to hear from you. All right, so let me just go ahead and close that poll out, and we'll continue along, and we'll start with the need for multi-health risk behavior strategies by talking about the benefits of integrating substance use prevention and even broader, just risk behavior prevention with wellness promotion. So the first thing we're going to look at is these are data from the Youth Risk Behavior Survey. This represents the percentage of ever used particular substances, and this is high school data across the nation. Most recent data, 2017. That's on their CDC's website, and you can see here, and this hasn't changed a whole lot in the past couple of years, but 6 out of 10 youth have ever used or used at some time in their life alcohol. So that's the most, and continues to be, and has been for decades, the most prevalently used substance among young people. What is new is the vaping of e-cigarettes, with 4 out of 10 high school adolescents having tried vaping, and that's followed by over 1 in 3 using marijuana, and that's followed by cigarettes and opioids. So you could see the breakout there of ever use alcohol, followed by vaping, followed by marijuana use. Now let's look at some other risk behaviors, what are considered chronic disease risk behaviors. These are behaviors that over time lead to chronic disease, like heart disease, diabetes, cancer, stroke, etc. So this is the percentage of behaviors, and again, high school data, YRBSS data on CDC's website. And as you can see, the most prevalent risk behaviors are 3 out of 4 young people are not getting adequate sleep, as defined by 8 or more hours. And of course, some adults as well, need more than 8 hours. They need 9 or 10 hours of sleep. They're not, and most are not, 3 out of 4 are not getting 8 hours of sleep every day of the week. And also 3 out of 4, roughly, are not getting the required amount of physical activity every day, which is 1 hour every day of the week. And then that's followed by 2/3 not eating breakfast every day. Take a look at the percentages of eating just 3 fruits or vegetables, 13%, 18% respectively. They're supposed to have 5 to 7 fruits and vegetables a day. Great room for improvement there. Just 1 more fruit or vegetable can make a difference in their life. So, and 3 hours of television screen time, 1 out of 5 are spending that much time. And some recent research is showing that during the pandemic, the screen time has increased considerably. So those are the risk behaviors. Again, they are lack of physical activity, at least regular physical activity, not getting adequate sleep, and that's followed by not eating breakfast and healthy food. So there was a study, a national study, 2010, which found of high school students across the nation, found that over half of high school students had 2 or more simultaneous or coexisting health risk behaviors. So it could be alcohol use and physical inactivity. It could be tobacco use and inadequate sleep. I don't remember all of the health behaviors that were measured at that particular time, but it did show that, again, most youth, most high school students, adolescents have 2, 3, 4 or more risk factors at the same time, individually and certainly in a group. And the researchers called for interventions at the clinical, community, and I would say school levels should be targeting multiple risk behaviors because of that reality, because young people are experiencing multiple interrelated health risks, and we should be teaching young people about how they are interrelated, how wellness behaviors, or the flip side, chronic disease risk behaviors, influence substance use and vice versa. Now let's take a look at health behavior associations. These data come from Youth Online, YRBSS, CDC, again, 2017, national data, high school students. We'll start with looking at adolescent physical inactivity and substance use. What are the relationships? Well, this is a measure of 3 hours or more of TV use time and marijuana use. This is ever marijuana use. If you can look at the far left-hand pillars, you'll see that among those saying yes, they get 3 or more hours of sleep, almost 41% have ever used alcohol, ever used marijuana, compared to 34% who are not getting that amount of screen time. So you can see screen time is significantly associated. More television and other screen time, greater percentages of those individuals ever using marijuana. And the same is the case with 30-day marijuana use or regular marijuana use. Still significant, a little bit smaller differences in percentages, but for those getting plenty of TV time, 23% use marijuana in the last 30 days. For those having less screening time, 19% are using marijuana in the past 30 days. Let's take a look at non-medical opioid use or misuse. This is a ever use measure. There's no 30-day measure in YRBSS. And again, we see a significant relationship with those getting more sleep, those getting more television time, 3 or more hours. That group, 17.2% have ever misused opioid use or had non-medical opioid use. And those with less than 3 hours of television time, 13%. So there's about a 4% difference there. That's a significant, all of these are statistically significant differences, not due to just chance, likely to due to an actual relationship or correlation. Then we can look at ever vaping, ever using vaping e-cigarettes. For those, again, getting 3 or more hours of television, 47% have ever vaped versus 40% have ever vaped for those getting less television. So again, more TV, more likely to engage in these substances. That's ever vaping. And then this is current vaping or 30-day vaping, 15% of the television viewers vape versus 12.5% of the less television viewers vaping. Then I think we've got one more, and this is current 30-day alcohol use because ever use was not significant. So just the 30-day, last 30 days, again, more youth, to almost 22% of youth who get 3 or more hours of television have used alcohol in the past 30 days versus about 20%. So about a 2% difference. Not a lot, but statistically significant difference. So what can we conclude from these slides that I've shown thus far? First of all, physical inactivity as measured by television viewing, 3 or more hours, YRBSS data, that physical inactivity measure was associated with greater ever and current marijuana and vaping, ever use of non-medical opioids, and 30-day use of alcohol among US high school adolescents. Substance use specialists, this is a recommendation for myself. Substance use specialists should therefore target the promotion of wellness habits within prevention programs, strategies, and campaigns for adolescents. And that may help them, in particular, to prevent the initiation of substance use because of the relationships. This includes providing integrated evidence-based programs shown to prevent substance use and increase wellness promoting behaviors as recommended by some researchers to include or to use integrated prevention and wellness programs. Let's shift the topic slightly to look at adolescent wellness behaviors and mental health as measured by sadness, hopelessness. Again, these data are from the YRBSS, high school data across the nation, 2017 online. You could run these crosstabs yourself. So we're looking at sadness or hopelessness. We also looked at ever contemplating suicide, very similar measures. Didn't want to show them all here and use all that time. So we just took this one measure, indication of of mental health problems. And we could see that, again, in terms of sedentary behavior as measured by 3 or more hours of television viewing, that those that got more television, 34% of them reported feeling sad and hopeless versus 30% with less television viewing. If you flip that coin now let's take a look at the health promotion or wellness behaviors. Now we're looking at, we're actually looking at 60 minutes of physical activity 5 days a week. In other words, I would say, excuse me, I would say, relatively or fairly regular physical activity, 60 minutes, 5 days a week or more, and looking at the relationship between that and feeling sad or hopeless, you'll see in the far left, for those that said yes, they're getting that amount of physical activity, 27.1% reported feeling sad or hopeless versus 35% that were getting, again, less physical activity. So here, regular physical activity associated with less feeling sad and hopeless, which is a good a measure of mental health. Similarly, I have to move my toolbar out of the way. Eating breakfast the last 7 days and feeling sad or hopeless, we can see that for those that ate breakfast, 22% felt sad, hopeless, and those who didn't eat breakfast, a whopping almost 37% felt sad or hopeless. So pretty strong correlation there. Looking at another wellness behavior, getting 8 or more hours of sleep, a strong correlation or association here. Those getting plenty of sleep, 21% reported, or 1 in 5 reporting sadness and hopelessness versus 35%, over 1 in 3 reporting sad and hopelessness, who are not getting 8 or more hours of sleep. So sleep seems to be associated. So what can we conclude from these slides? Well, regularly getting 60 minutes of physical activity, eating breakfast, getting 8 or more hours of sleep were associated with less sadness and hopelessness among U.S. adolescents throughout the nation. Substance use specialists, and again, my and our recommendation, substance use specialists, mental health professionals, wellness professionals should target increasing physical activity, breakfast and healthy eating, getting adequate sleep to enhance mental health of adolescents when on a prevention program. Substance use prevention programs designed to increase wellness behaviors, including physical activity, healthy eating, sleep, are likely to support and enhance broader physical and mental health of youth. So things to consider in your, and I'm sure many of you have already done that and are already doing that. So maybe speaking to the choir, but a good review for many of you. What are the benefits of a healthy lifestyle? We oftentimes show this slide because it's sort of the flip side of this, and very, very positive research findings associated with a healthy lifestyle, being regular, physically active, eating nutritiously, getting adequate sleep. These things are associated with, and again, there's a whole host of research, improved physical and mental health and self-reported quality of life, a lot of positive self-image, self-esteem, and those types of things. For those of you that are prevention and mental health specialists, healthy lifestyles are associated with less depression, anxiety, unsafe sex, less alcohol, tobacco, and illicit drug use. Other benefits of a healthy lifestyle include brain development, greater cognitive functioning, having fun, friendships, greater academic success, very important related to healthy lifestyle. That means as measured in less school suspensions, greater school attendance, less school dropouts, and greater likelihood to attend and complete college. And lastly, because these lifestyle factors, these behaviors are chronic disease associated, you see healthy lifestyle is linked to less heart disease, diabetes, cancer, stroke, obesity, and osteoporosis. There were a couple of critical reviews of research, and one showed that integrated prevention programs are both feasible and more effective than discrete interventions. In other words, by integrating prevention and wellness, or at least dealing with more than one risk factor, you could save money and you could have more effective programs. It makes sense, doesn't it? So, and rather than having, a program for each of these risk factors, and we only have so much money in our prevention and health pie, so the trend and the pattern and the research is all pointing to integrated prevention and wellness programs. Then there was a review of research that showed that universal school-based interventions that, again, address multiple risk factors have a role to play or were shown to be effective in preventing tobacco, alcohol, illicit drug use, antisocial behaviors, and improving physical activity. Now, the second part of this presentation is going to focus on giving you the tools to create your own messages, create your own programs, create your own campaigns that integrate prevention and wellness. So let's take a look at it. Some of you who have been on our previous trainings and webinars know that the behavior image model is the model that we have used in the past. It's a marketing related theoretical roadmap. What it does is it allows you to create your own messages that integrate wellness promotion with substance use or other risk behavior prevention. There's two components to this theoretical model. The first is that positive images can be used to increase motivation for change. And then secondly, multiple behavior goal setting can initiate that change and get things rolling. And so how does this work? Well, the key is that first part of that behavior image model, the focus on images, has been supported by theory, research, and practice. In the heading of theory, there's been a number of behavioral theories in the past, including positive selves theory, that shows that focusing on images is very, very important to constructing prevention and health programs for youth and adults. Secondly, image has research support under a whole bunch of topics, research on self-concept, prototype images, possible selves, positive identity, show linkages between how you think about themselves, feel about themselves, their identity, their self-identity, their projected images, future desired images, feared images of the future. All of these are linked to and have a significant role to play in their decision-making, particularly with regard to their health behaviors. And lastly, decades of support in the marketing and advertising arenas. Major companies for years and years and years have used positive images like the one shown on the right side of your screen to promote products such as beer and tobacco, etc., cars, clothing, everything imaginable. What we're doing here at Prevention Plus Wellness is harnessing the power of those positive, appealing images to promote a complete wellness lifestyle. Includes protective wellness behaviors and avoiding risk behaviors like substance use. Now, if you want to create your own prevention content, media campaigns, programs, here are 6 steps to do that. And I'm going to walk you through these steps. The first step is to identify risk and behavior habits to target. The second step is to develop a 2-step messaging. Third step is to develop additional risk messages. And you can see the other steps. Create PowerPoint slides or other media along with your corresponding images. Develop goal setting or pledges. And lastly, number 6, create questions for screening survey or media campaign. So let's take a look at these steps, starting with number 1. The first step in creating your own prevention content, programs, media campaign is to identify risk and wellness habits to target. So what do you want to target? First of all, I recommend you list and you prioritize substance use or other risk behaviors that you wish to prevent or decrease. This can be generated by interest from you or your youth target population or data that you've collected on the needs for your youth. So, for example, you could target alcohol use, but you can also target types of alcohol use, like initiation of use, binge drinking, could be vaping, e-cigarettes, marijuana, opioid use. It could even be non-drug use risks that you're trying to reduce. These are risk factors, risk behaviors you wish to prevent or to reduce. List them and prioritize them. Secondly, you're going to list and prioritize wellness behaviors that and images that you wish to increase or to maintain. This is where the motivational power comes from. I highly recommend physical activity images and behaviors seem to be a core to both imaging as well as health, but also breakfast eating, other nutritious behaviors, sleep, stress control, as many of you are concerned about, could be spiritual habits or others. So these are behaviors, wellness in nature, that you want to increase or you want to maintain over time for your target population. That's step number one. Step number two, you're going to create these two-step messaging using positive images. The goal here is you want to trigger a mental picture in the mind of your target youth of a healthy behavior and how substance use is harmful to that. And you use image terms, vivid image terms and illustrations. So it's a two-step process. First step, you present positive desired future and peer images of a wellness behavior and other benefits of that wellness behavior, of engaging in that wellness behavior. And the second step is you link how one or more substance use or other risk behaviors is a barrier to that wellness behavior and the positive outcomes. So let me give you an example of this two-step process. Here's the first step: positive images, other benefits of a health-enhancing behavior. Quote, young people who engage in regular physical activity tend to feel energetic, sleep better, and look more active, fit, and confident. So what do we have in that very brief message? We've got our target population, young people. We've got the wellness behavior that's focused on regular physical activity. We've got the image terms, very mental image generating. These images pop up in our mind. They're non-conscious. We don't always recognize them. Very powerful terms: energetic, active, fit, confident. Who doesn't want those things for themselves and for their youth? And then other benefits, including sleep better. And then on the left, you can see a very positive image or illustration of a young woman, young female, doing some aerobic exercise, running, and probably in a cold weather because of her dress, her outfit. So you want to show pictures of that are representative of your target youth so they could see themselves engage in those healthy habits. Then you link, the second step is you link how risk behaviors are barriers. So quote, marijuana use can reduce your energy level needed to participate in regular exercise and achieve your fitness goals of being in shape, looking good, and feeling fit and active. So here you can see we link, in this case, marijuana use to being counterproductive, to being a barrier, to harming your wellness behavior, which is regular physical activity and exercise, as well as the benefits thereof, the images and the other benefits. So that's the two-step messaging process. So you create your messages. So another way to look at this for a broader campaign is illustrated here in this slide. Let me move my toolbar. So this is a list of benefits and countering barriers for a selected behavior. So this is just an example. So let's, in the left-hand column, what you should do is just make a list of your images and your benefits of your number one, a wellness behavior. Let's just say it's physical activity. And so some of those benefits and images could be high energy, fit, active, friendly, successful, really great image terms. They elicit those vivid mental pictures in our mind. So those are the benefits of physical activity. And then you try to identify and link to it a risk behavior. So in this case, we're using marijuana. That was the top on our list. And we're going to list how marijuana is a barrier to physical activity. So whereas physical activity results in an image and outcomes of high energy, alcohol saps energy. See how it's counterproductive. Whereas number two, the image and benefits of physical activity are being fit. Marijuana use is more likely to lead to junk food eating, where physical activity, number three, is likely to benefit in the image and outcome of being active. Number three, marijuana leads to less motivation to exercise. Friendly, exercise, marijuana, limit friends to only other users. Number five, in the left-hand column, benefit of exercise, success. And then in the right, marijuana interferes with success by slowing cognitive processing and retards brain development. So I hope you could see the relationship there and how we're linking these benefits and images that come from a particular wellness behavior. The example here is physical activity, and how it is being hampered by and harmed by a substance use, in this case, marijuana. So that's what you want to do for your top wellness behavior and your top risk behavior. You're going to link those, and then you're going to go to your next behaviors and create all your messaging. Step number 3, develop additional risk messages. So we don't want to leave it at just linking those. We want to also address some of these other. So you are already addressing how substance use, specific substance use addresses and harms each of your targeted wellness habits, but also just how your substance use behaviors harm fitness and health, causes life problems, myths associated with substance use. That's particularly the case with new epidemics such as marijuana and e-cigarettes. Social norm messaging that most youth do not use these substances, talking about healthy alternatives, choosing for yourself, getting young people to plan ahead now before they get in the situation they're offered substances. And then lastly, recommendations for wellness. That's sort of a broader, avoiding substance use and engaging in wellness behaviors are recommendations. So just to give you one example of myth messages, here's a big myth. The big myth is that marijuana use is harmless. The truth is that cannabis use, especially regular or heavy use, results in many negative and lasting effects on the brain, body, and life. So that's just a very brief messaging that goes back to addressing other substance use risk myths. So that's what you're going to do. You're going to have this list. These are just some examples. You can create your others, but these are very, very useful ones. Some of them have been supported by research showing them to be effective. So I would address these, like harmfulness. Certainly harmfulness is critical to, awareness of harmfulness of a substance, very critical, but also how substances harm your wellness behaviors, your image. That's part of the behavior image model, social norm messaging, etc. So step 4, create PowerPoint slides or other media with corresponding positive images. So here's just some examples of that. These are some slides or representations of slides that we've used in our Prevention Plus Wellness programs. And as you can see, you've got some content there: active life, alcohol do not mix. That's a great message showing that barrier. Alcohol and drugs hurt, relationships, sports, feel about yourself, energy level, and success in work and school. And then you've got a very positive image of a young person playing soccer. So that's that messaging. That's that what we talked about, that two-step messaging. And you could show this on slides. You could have it on billboards. You could have it on blogs. You could have it on social media. But you want to show these, what we're doing here with number 4 is we're creating slides or other media with the corresponding images so that you have these illustrations where young people can see themselves. I play soccer. I can see myself in that image. Here's another example: alcohol, tobacco, drugs disrupt sound sleep, stop deep sleep patterns needed to maintain an active and high energy life. So you can see, again, you're contrasting the benefits of sleep, in this case, high energy life, active, with substance use that interferes with that. And you're showing a very positive image of a young person sleeping. It looks very positive, restful, makes me want to go take a nap. So number 5, develop goal setting or pledges. So research supports this, supports the importance of getting individuals to set goals, to pledge change, initiate that behavior change that increases success for change. And so in the behavior image model related self-control skills, these are the kinds of components that we've had in the pledges and goal setting. One is develop self-regulation skills to set and monitor behavior goals. So goal setting is part of it. Secondly, goal setting in relation to avoidance of that particular alcohol or drug that you're targeting or other risk behavior, as well as improvement of one or more protective health or wellness behaviors, and then making it a public contract to increase motivation. Research shows that not just goal setting, but having it be a document of some sort co-signed by somebody else can also make that even increase that motivation for change even more. And lastly, step number 6, creating questions for screening surveys or media campaigns addressing targeted behaviors. This is important to get young people to think about their current health habits, increasing awareness in that whole process. So here is some sample of screening items from our Sport Prevention Plus Wellness program, and your screening questions will really depend on what target behaviors you're working on, what substance use risk behaviors you're addressing in your population, what wellness behaviors. So here you can see sports and physical activities in the last year, regular physical activity that lasts for 30 minutes, yes, no. Eating a healthy breakfast each morning, yes, no. Getting 8 or more hours of sleep, yes, no. Those are the responses. Greatest number of alcohol drinks in the past 30 days, from 0 to 5 or more. These are the items that are on the Sport Prevention Plus Wellness program for high school students. So you can see what we're targeting in sport PPW. We're targeting physical activity, sports, particularly not both in terms of long-term last year and regular. Eating healthy breakfast, but also other healthy foods, getting 8 or more hours of sleep, and the focus primarily on alcohol, but there are some expanded other drug messages within the Sport Prevention Plus Wellness program. So you're gonna need to, or we recommend you create as this last step in this process of creating your own messages, your own media campaigns, your own programs, identifying some screening questions so you can get young people to think about their current health habits. Here are some examples of behavior image model based prevention plus wellness media campaign components. These are things to include in a media campaign. So for example, number 1, quizzes or questions to increase reflection on and awareness of personal health behaviors, as we just mentioned. Number 2, pairing substance use and wellness behavior benefits and barrier message, as we've discussed earlier. Number 3, using positive images and positive terms. Number 4, using substance use risk messages that target risk factors such as social norms, myths, and perceived harmfulness. Number 5, create goal setting and contracts or pledges. And then number 6, create opportunities for engaging in wellness behaviors and habits. So these are the things to consider and to utilize within your behavior image-based prevention plus wellness media campaign. These are components to use. Your other option or an alternative is to focus on behavior image-based prevention plus wellness interventions. And what we've done in our programs is to focus on screening and brief intervention, being very practical. And there's 3 steps to those. The step number 1 is to screen participants for their current health habits using a screening survey. And those would be any of the substance use and wellness behaviors that you're targeting in your program. Number 2, provide feedback and positive image messaging using a script and PowerPoint slides in your program, as we've discussed earlier. And then number 3, assist participants to set to monitor goals to avoid substance use, but also to increase protective wellness behavior. So you've got an option. You can do media campaigns. Here's some components. You can do interventions. You can even do screening and brief interventions, which we have found to be very effective in integrating prevention with wellness. Why focus on screening and brief interventions? In the left-hand block, there was a review of research back in 2015 that showed that screening and brief interventions were effective even a year later with the receipt among adolescents and young adults. And that goal setting was a particularly effective strategy within screening and brief interventions. And then in the right-hand block, we've done a number of studies showing that prevention plus wellness interventions are effective even a year after a single lesson. And screening brief interventions have been supported as an evidence-based practice by SAMHSA, the Substance Abuse Mental Health Services Administration, including SAMHSA's SBIRT, which refers to screening, brief intervention, referral to treatment. CDC supports screening and brief intervention, particularly alcohol screening and brief intervention in primary care settings. The World Health Organization, or WHO, supports alcohol use, screening, and brief interventions. National Institute on Alcohol Abuse and Alcoholism supports alcohol screening and brief interventions for youth. The American Academy of Pediatrics supports SBIRT for youth. And lastly, NIDA, National Institute on Drug Abuse, supports adolescent substance use screening for screening and brief interventions. They got a number of national and international organizations supporting screening and brief interventions as an effective strategy. What are, and this is our third part now of our lesson today, what are some evidence-based resources that already exist that have integrated prevention plus wellness? One of these is the Sport Prevention Plus Wellness Program. It's evidence-based. It's been studied in a number of randomized controlled trials, proven to prevent alcohol, tobacco, cannabis, and increase physical activity among non-using and substance-using youth. Sport targets alcohol primarily, but also other drug use, physical activity, healthy nutrition, sleep, and stress control. It's a single session intervention, can be provided in, I'd say, about 35, 40 minutes, up to 50 minutes. Screening and brief intervention, high school, middle school, and elementary school versions of the sport program. It's implemented with slides. It's scripted, and you can provide it either to youth individually or in a group. It's based on the behavior image model, a positive image model. It includes optional parent materials, trying to get parents to have the same positive image communication at home as you're providing using your sport messaging. And that includes a parent letter and 4 weekly flyers. They can be handed out, mailed out, sent out, emailed, posted on your website. Reproducible materials. You got a manual with the script and your reproducible materials to make copies of everything you need to implement your program to hundreds and thousands of youth, no additional cost. And now we have protocols to implement sport online. So during the pandemic, you can implement this. We don't know what's going to happen next fall. You can implement the sport program in person to individual youth, to groups of youth, and as well online. And all of that is covered in our 2-hour live program implementer training. Our parallel InShape Prevention Plus Wellness program is for young adults. This is being implemented, by the way, sports being implemented across the country, all 50 states and other nations. And it's implemented in schools, boys and girls clubs, youth groups, recreation, camps, you name it, it's being implemented in. Whereas InShape is being implemented in college campuses, communities, even the military, Air Force is implementing the InShape Prevention Plus Wellness Program, evidence-based, proven to prevent alcohol, cannabis, drinking, driving. Some of these effects were a year later, even with sport too, increased physical activity, sleep, health-related quality of life. And you can see the targets very much like sport, and very much like sport includes a manual, digital downloads provided to young adults one-on-one or in a group or online. Then we have what we call evidence-informed prevention plus wellness programs. These have not been evaluated fully yet, but they are based on, and they are considered evidence-based screening and brief intervention practices. Keep that in mind. And they are also founded on the evidence-based sport PPW program. Now, depending on which program you get, in the middle column there, we have vaping prevention plus wellness, marijuana PPW, opioid PPW, our only multi-session program, Sport 2 PPW, which is 6 sessions, and our spiritual integrated program In God's Image. So these target, depending on which program, e-cigarettes, cannabis, opioid, spiritual practices, along with healthy eating, sleep, stress control, and promoting healthy habits. Those are healthy habits, I should say, and avoiding those substances. And also single session, screening, brief intervention, and so forth. So they're adaptations of the sport prevention plus wellness program. The sport PPW program, InShape PPW, are evidence-based. That means they've been researched and found to be effective. Those effects have been published in refereed scientific journal articles, and then they get listed on evidence-based registries like Blueprints for Healthy Youth Development, Results First Clearinghouse Database, NREP, Clearinghouse for Military Family Readiness, et cetera, et cetera. And you can see all the evidence-based registries that Sport and In Shape are listed on our website, preventionpluswellness.com. So let me just conclude right now the whole regarding the whole webinar, all of that we covered today. 3 conclusions. Number 1, most U.S. adolescents experience multiple coexisting health risks for substance use and chronic disease that influence their physical and their mental, and you might even make the case for spiritual well-being. Secondly, the behavior image model is a roadmap for creating cost-effective content, brief programs, and media campaigns that integrate substance use prevention with wellness promotion. And thirdly, practical evidence-based and evidence-informed prevention plus wellness programs are already available for youth and young adults. And the new programs address these emerging risks, particularly cannabis, opioids, and e-cigarettes. So go to our website, preventionpluswellness.com. This is a quick shot of it, and type in your email so that you're on our email list, and we send out blasts every week of free webinars and program materials and resources, and as well as our evidence-based and evidence-informed programs and training on our website. That's preventionpluswellness.com. So we're here to help. If you need us, reach out to us anytime. Get on the list. Let us help. If you're using any of our programs at any time, we're with you to make sure you have a successful experience and your kids love it. We have built-in pre-post tests to ensure that even though our programs are evidence-based, evidence-informed, you can decide how effective they are for you, because we have scannable and online surveys to evaluate your programs. PreventionPlusWellness.com. Our phone number here in Jacksonville, Florida, 904-472-5022. And our email, info at preventionpluswellness.com. So thank you so much for joining us. Now I'm going to open it up at this point and see what kinds of comments or questions that have come across. So let me go back to the Q&A. So here's a Q&A. You could ask the question either in the Q&A section or the live chat. Just click on either and type in what you want me to ask, or you want to discuss, or you want to share with others today. So this was in the Q&A mailbox. What would be a good response to a middle schooler who wants to say or argue that my brother friend smokes marijuana and he's a good soccer player, baseball player? So that's a great question. So what you've got there is you've got a couple of issues. So you've got the whole idea that, and I don't know if they actually know their brother, their friend smokes marijuana or not. And so that's sort of a social norm issue. You could address that even if you do know someone or think you know someone, what young people typically do is they overestimate the number of their friends and peers that engage in that. So you could try to correct that social norm message. By the way, if other people have responses to this, chime in. I'm just one voice. You may have a good response for this. The other is to sort of highlight the fact that this particular substance, smoking marijuana, you could talk about how that could harm lungs and physical functioning, especially at the higher level, to be your very best at soccer, at basketball, baseball, whatever, at school, relationships. So certainly the Prevention Plus Wellness programs and the model will allow you to address that, because then at the same time, you're going to link how these healthy behaviors are really help protect you from that. And the more active you are, the less likely you are to engage in those substances, and it'll help you actually to reduce. So we see that, for example, physically active people, even if they are smokers, they're less likely to smoke, and they're less likely to smoke more, and they're less likely to stop smoking. And so you could see the relationship there, and you could highlight the benefits of physical activity, clear lungs, functioning, success, so on, and how substance use is counterproductive to that. So it's a great message, a very powerful message, an image. So I hope I answered that. Others can weigh in on that as well. But thank you for that great, great question. Another is, you have some examples of media campaigns that have been done through the step-by-step process that you're describing. I know others have applied it to media campaigns. We have applied it to the development of a cannabis campaign a number of years ago, and we used to offer that cannabis campaign for sale, but we took it down because we really wanted to focus on the screening and brief intervention programs. So I know it can be done. I know it can be successful to the extent that you can create content, you can create images, you can create media, and all these things that could be used for social media, for blogs, for face-to-face, quizzes. All these things can be done because we've done them, and we offered them at one time or another. So I mean, and every now and then we get a request for that media campaign. We just haven't taken the time. We took it down because we haven't taken the time to update the messages. So yes, you can. We've done it. I know other organizations have done it as well. If you need help, we're happy to give you help. So let me know if we can help you and your group create your own media campaign. It seems like those of you that responded to the poll questions are really more interested in existing tools. So I could understand that. You could save a lot of time. Maybe we'll rethink our media campaign and go back to creating that cannabis campaign. Maybe we'll go back to creating other media campaigns along with our screening and brief interventions. That's something that I will think seriously on, and thank you for raising that. So those are a couple of Q&As that were brought up, which are excellent. And so now let's go ahead and let's take a look at what's in the live chat box and see. I'm going to go back to the very beginning, make sure we didn't miss anything. And good morning to everybody. So can you answer the audio question? I want to make sure that I'm not interfering with the presentation. Will we get, I'm not sure what that is. I'm sorry. Can you maybe clarify that for me? Okay, so somebody's having an audio problem. Hopefully that was not many people, but I'll be sending everybody a link to this recorded session. I'll say it again. I'll be sending everybody a PDF of the slides. I'll be sending everybody, and then we'll probably have this live again, this presentation in another week or two, because it seemed to be very, very popular and it was sold out. We're hearing a lot about relapse during COVID, and we're wondering whether these media principles would apply to adults and relapse prevention. Well, absolutely. There's no doubt they can. Relapse prevention is prevention. We have had in the past a number of organizations that have taken, for example, our InShape Prevention Plus Wellness program, which is for young adults, and have adopted it and adapted it for use with older adults in different settings. So I think those images and those desired selves are very powerful and motivational even later on in life. They don't change. We see ourselves, we want to see ourselves as being successful, as having certain skills and being able to function mentally, physically, and so forth. And you could link certain risk behaviors, including substance use, to those. And certainly the focus on wellness and wellness behaviors are critical to recovery, to treatment, and to relapse prevention. So without a doubt, the behavior image model is a great tool. play with it, experiment with it. Let me know if you want to have any help from me on that. I'm willing to take a look at whatever you're thinking of and give you my 2 cents, whatever that's worth, 2 cents. And so, but if I could help you at all, I'd love to. I'd love to see what other people are doing. I'd love to support that creative work and the expansion of the use of the behavior image model, which I believe is a very, very powerful, practical tool for creating integrated prevention and wellness messages. Very flexible as to being able to address different types of risk and wellness behaviors. So let me go back. I don't want to miss anything. Okay, here we go. So Latanya says our Healthy Zone prevention program through NCADD, we're using PPW and ISPW. I'm not sure what that is, Latanya. We need all of the digital downloads that you have available for us that we have not received. We would also be interested in obtaining the online protocols. Okay, so some of this, Latanya, already on our website available for anybody. The online protocols are. But why don't you send me a separate email, Latanya, so I have your email address. Just send me something at info@Prevention Plus Wellness. And this is between you and I think we need to take this discussion. I'll see what you need. So you could send me something specifically at info@Prevention Plus Wellness. Happy to help you with that. If your brother jumped off a bridge and survived to continue to play ball, would you jump off the same bridge? There you go. Great example. There's an example. So in other words, you don't have to follow bad behavior or dangerous behavior. So there's probably a lot of great examples like that you can come up with. I like that because it's brief and it's clear and you get young people to think about that. So thank you for sharing that. That's great. That comes from Christina, I think, or from Terry, perhaps. That was from Terry. Let's see. Fatter, okay, mindfulness, somebody says. Okay, and I'm not sure. Mindfulness, great wellness behavior to promote. We promote mindfulness and prayer and relaxation, all that within our, not just our In God's Image intervention, but also as tools for controlling stress. And I know all of you are very much concerned about that in your youth population. In response to the question and answer, first question asked, if your brother jumped off the bridge, okay, so that's a great one. Thank you. Great response. And let's see, kindly send material on above email. Okay, I'll do that. What happens here, I may or may not be able to save this communication. So do try to send me an email at info@preventionpluswellness.com, and that way I'll make sure I do get it. Everybody who's registered for today's session will get a PDF of the slides. We'll get a link to the recorded session, and I'll see if we might want to re-offer this webinar next week, because again, it was sold out. So that's it. I think we've covered a lot. You've had great questions. God bless you for all you do for making a difference in the lives of youth. If there's anything we can do to support you, to provide you with materials, to help you create your own messaging, media campaigns, programs, to offer new programs, maybe media campaigns that you would use, let us know. Send us your request at info@preventionpluswellness.com, or go to our website, preventionpluswellness.com, and there's in the lower right-hand corner a little messaging link. You could just click on that and send us a message. We do always want to hear from providers like yourself. So what do you need? What do you want? We take that in consideration. We do develop new programs, strategies, tools. What is it that we can provide you that integrates prevention and wellness. What are the topics and interests? Remember earlier I said under the heading of others, what else did you want? I'm not sure I saw any others. What did you want? Remember the answers. I think most of you wanted already existing evidence-based programs and campaigns. But I said, tell me if for the 6% of you that said you wanted other things, let me know what those were. I'm going to go back and I'm going to see. I don't recall seeing anybody saying anything about that. So I'm going to go back one more time and just double check. So I didn't see that. If you want something, please do request it. I want to make sure that I'm not interfering here. Nobody's interfering. Okay. All right. So, we're hearing a lot about relapse. I think maybe that was the issue. Great questions, great comments. Thank you, everybody. I'm going to let you go. I know you're busy. You got lots going on. Have a great afternoon. Take care of yourself. Make sure you're doing what you need to control your stress. Eat well, get exercise, get adequate sleep, and take care of yourself so you can continue to take care of those youth and families in your communities. Let me know if we can help in any way. Send me an email at info@preventionpluswellness.com if there's anything we can do to give you a hand. All right, that's it. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye. Have a great day. Be well.